The RTX 50 series has been with us for nearly a year now, and based on NVIDIA's previous track record with the RTX 40 series and 20 series, the time for a refreshed RTX 50 series Super lineup should be just around the corner. We've already had the specs leak for the three new cards, the 5070 Super, 5070 Ti Super and 5080 Super, but could there yet be a big curveball? Well, conflicting reports over the last few days seem to indicate there could be, with video cards first reporting the lineup could be outright cancelled before updating the article to point to a delay instead. So what on earth is actually going on with Super Series, and is this good news or bad news for gamers? Let's talk about it. The NZXT Function Elite and Lift Elite have landed, with NZXT's magnetic switches with Hall effect sensors for precise control and rapid trigger functionality. The Function Elite is the perfect gaming companion. Paired up with the Lift Elite, a 57-gram ultra lightweight gaming mouse with a 26,000 DPI and up to 70 hours of battery life, you have a setup pairing built to perform. Check them out at the first links in the description below. Now let's start by discussing what Super actually is and what we were expecting for NVIDIA's next GPU lineup. Super is basically just a code name for a refresh to an existing product lineup, and it's a way of NVIDIA bringing a bit more performance to the same architecture, a way to gain some fresh review publicity, and a great opportunity to update cards that just might not be providing the kind of value people deem enough to choose to buy. Now, Super GPUs tend to use the same dies as their non-Super cards, built on the exact same GPU architecture. To provide any improvements, NVIDIA can use a few levers. This can include boosting up the core count by a small amount, pushing a bit more power through the card to boost clock speeds higher, or in the case of the RTX 50 Super Rumours, add a bit more video memory to the designs. Last generation's RTX 40 Super cards saw two of the three GPUs use the exact same die, while only one had an upgrade, so to speak. And if you're wondering how NVIDIA can unlock more cores on effectively the same dies, it's all to do with yields. As the manufacturing process scales up, so does the yield, and this gives NVIDIA options. It's for these reasons that the performance increment in Super GPUs tends to be modest at best, but this modest improvement can still be enough to change a GPU from a card that's beat out by a competitor to one that's not. And that's important. It also gives NVIDIA the opportunity to evaluate pricing, and as we saw last time around, make some price drops where they're required too. But the wheels could be about to fall off the train for RTX 50 series Super, and it all has to do with video memory. Now, unlike previous Super launches, the rumours all seem to suggest that NVIDIA will boost VRAM with the 50 Super refresh. This is obviously in response to consumer demand for more VRAM, something that's driven by new games' seemingly insatiable appetite for more memory. Leaks earlier this year suggested VRAM improvements on all three of the proposed Super GPUs, with the 5070 rising from 12 to 18, the 70 Ti rising from 16 to 24, and the 5080 doing the same. You can see how this would make a card like the RTX 5070 Ti a more attractive proposition, effectively representing an 8GB improvement over not only the non-Super variant, but also against AMD's hugely popular 9070 XT. Combine this with improvements to clock speed with a bit more power through the card, and it suddenly sounds like an exciting proposition. Central to this VRAM improvement, though, is shiny new 3GB modules that represent a 50% uplift on a per module basis over the 2GB GDDR7 modules currently used in the 50 series lineup. But this memory increase also looks like it could be the very thing that derails Super in the first place. VideoCard's initial report lent on leaks from Unico's hardware on X that shortage of the new 3GB GDDR7 modules meant they just wouldn't make it to desktop, and as such, Super would be scrapped. The article was later updated with prominent leaker mega-sized GPUs, such a great handle, indicating instead we'd see a delay rather than an outright cancellation. Now, for those wondering, the shortages of GDDR7 memory are due to a range of factors. Principally, the tech's still new, with only a couple of manufacturers to choose from, and the manufacturing process is difficult. But memory shortages more generally have only been intensifying with the boom of AI. It's the same reasons that DDR5 prices are now frankly insane and your preferred kit of memory is super expensive. And one of NVIDIA's high-end AI GPUs, like a H100 for example, can actually use the wafer output equivalent to dozens of desktop GPU memory capacity. The fabs are simply put struggling to keep up, and while it's a good time to be a memory maker right now, it's less of a great time to be a buyer hoping to snag a great deal on a budget gaming GPU from the likes of both NVIDIA but also AMD, who make a lot more money off AI GPUs than they do from those for gaming. The post from Megasize GPU points to a delay which would reach out to about Q3 2026, seeing super cards land no earlier than July or August. Now that's at least a 6-month delay in comparison to when we might have expected these cards, be that at CES or shortly afterwards. Such a delay only gives us more questions than it answers. What impact does this have on a future 60 series, which at NVIDIA's regular cadence would typically land at the end of 2026 or very start of 2027? Could the delay to Super actually have a much greater knock-on effect? Ultimately, too much speculation here is no good for anyone, but it certainly opens a can of worms in the GPU landscape that will be a worry to some. Now, a lot can happen in the PC hardware industry, and it can happen very quickly, as we well know. We're always seeing rumours change, and over-speculating can only cause more damage than good. The good thing in these rumours, though, is it does seem to indicate that NVIDIA have identified the need for more video memory on their GPUs, and that NVIDIA are looking to respond to consumer demand for more VRAM, particularly on mid-range and high-end cards. The use of these new larger 3GB modules also hopefully points to a future with 60 series, where we don't see 8GB of VRAM on the 50 and 60 tier cards, and the 70 tier, which is oh so popular, looks to present a nice bump too. And as much as we all like to see shiny new things, I'd actually much rather NVIDIA pushed back Super and waited for the larger VRAM modules to become available than just launching something new for the sake of it that provides little by way of tangible improvement. The other problem we have is that AMD seems reluctant to compete on the high end, be that through a lack of appetite or lack of ability to create high-end cards, giving NVIDIA a free run on the 5080 and 5090 where they have literally zero competition whatsoever from AMD. Now, the one potential benefit of these leaks is it does potentially answer the question of whether or not you should wait before building a gaming PC this Christmas and holiday period. I've seen loads of comments from people saying, I want to build a PC in November, December, but I'm going to wait for Super in January. That now looks like it's not happening, and it looks like initial rumours of a CES release may well have been misguided anyway. Ultimately, what we have right now is a landscape of cards that, for the time being, you can buy at MSRP, and lots of these GPUs at or below these MSRP price points represent good value for money. I mean, heck, we're only just past the shortage of AMD's 9070 XT, and we're now seeing the likes of the 5070 drop below MSRP and bring the battle well and truly to AMD's 9070 non-XT GPU. If your one takeaway from this video is, actually, I don't think waiting is worthwhile, I would actually say that I agree. Super as a lineup of cards could be exciting and could be useful, and the VRAM improvements are certainly going to be attractive. I think it's the right thing to do. But are these cards going to give you huge frame rate uplifts for big price drops by comparison? The answer's no. Even if we see Super land a bit earlier than some of these delayed rumours might suggest, we're still looking at an on-shelf timeline of March, April or May at the best. And even then, the cards are likely to sell out when they're new and do so for their MSRPs, where you can currently buy the likes of a 5070 or 5070 Ti for lower than that price point. Hopefully this points at least to an upcoming lineup of NVIDIA GPUs with better and more video memory. And hopefully the AI boom doesn't ruin PC gaming and hardware forever. This feels like 2021 all over again. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to get subscribed. Thanks for watching. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.